Hello everyone, I am Roshana's anak lelaki Ramesh Kumar. I am from SMK Felda, Sungai Koyan. I am the leader for Team Maverick for the 9th Malaysia International Young Inventors Olympiad 2021. These are my team members.
Hi, my name is Adara Tasha binti Muhammad Nasir.
Hi, my name is Khairanisa binti Nur Hisham.
Hi, my name is Adriana Nashira.
Hello, I'm Zainal Hakim Shazni bin Zain Fuad. I'm Team Maverick's supervisor for this project.
Folktales are integral element in any culture. Every culture has its own unique tales and legendary figures that bind their culture together and keep it alive. The three main ethnic in Malaysia are known of their legendary figures and folktales. The Malays have their Hang Tuah, the Chinese have their Journey to the West epic, and the Indians have their Hanuman. What about the lesser known and marginalized people in the deep interiors of our country? More specifically, the Semai people. How many of our fellow countrymen have heard of or known their folktales? How many of us can claim that we know the stories of the heroic Bahluj? Like any folktales, these Semai folktales are mostly passed down from mouth to mouth, from one generation to another. However, they are mostly obscure as there is hardly any written or illustrated form of them in existence. There is extinction if not passed down or forgotten by the younger generation. They need to be recorded and presented in an interesting manner, for example, in the form of comic and video animation. There is an abundance of educational, moral, and artistic values in the folk stories of the Semai people. As such, it is our opinion that these tales should be incorporated and utilized in the learning of our school students. One particular subject that can benefit from these stories is English. Sharina Saad 2019 has explored in her research on how the folktales can be employed in the ESL classroom to teach reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills. Meanwhile, Claire Chan Ching et al. 2013 explored how to adapt and recontextualize Semai folktales to cater to 21st century learners. Taking into consideration the discussion and findings from these two studies, the researchers embarked on an ambitious quest to turn the Semai folktales into animations to be used for the learning of the English language.
There is a dearth of the Semai folktale physical collection. A book on the stories of these neglected people is hardly found anywhere. There are a few of them published a few years ago, but they are mostly obscured from the majority of the population. Due to this, most Malaysians are unaware and unfamiliar with the rich and unique collection of the Semai folktales. From the researchers' conversation with their fellow Semai students, they found that many of them are already forgetting the folktales passed down to them. This situation is worrying because as the younger generation, the preservation and longevity of these tales depend on them. Their fading memory would eventually bring the death of these folktales. Henceforth, action must be taken quickly to gather these stories before they are forgotten completely. Furthermore, there is a lack of understanding between majority of Malaysians and the Semai community. Just like the indigenous people anywhere, the Semai folks are often looked down upon. Some Malaysians make condescending remarks against them. Therefore, there is a need to bridge the gap between the Semai people and the rest of the population. According to Cynthia Kurt's 2008, stories can connect people within as well as between groups. As such, this project intends to embark on a mission to utilize the unique Semai folktales to foster understanding and love between the Semai community and the rest of the Malaysians. In addition, the Semai community severely lacks proficiency in English. The language is very foreign and carries little significance to them. Also, English language textbooks used at school are of foreign origin and thus their contents are of foreign culture. My students could hardly relate to and meaningfully learn from the textbook. Therefore, a learning material in English that incorporates the Semai culture is sorely needed to boost students' interest and promotes a meaningful as well as a culturally sensitive learning.
The objective of this project are 1. To create learning materials in English that incorporates the Semai culture. 2. To preserve the Semai folktale heritage in the form of animation. 3. To promote the Semai folktales heritage to the rest of the Malaysian population. 4. To boost Semai students' interest and eventually proficiency in the English language.
The methodology of this research is partly inspired and modeled after the one used by Sharina Saad in her research titled The Semai Folktales Cultural Heritage in the 21st Century, Preservation Through Innovation 2019. In her research, Sharina Saad outlined her process as thus: 1. Oral tradition by Semai community. 2. Documentation of oral stories using snowball sampling method. 3. Translation and rewriting of original stories. 4. Images and illustrations. 5. Animated movie. And 6. Puppet show. The researchers have appropriately adapted this methodology in this project, which will be thus explained. To gather the folktales, the first step the researchers undertook was interviewing fellow Semai students at school. In each interview, they would tell a story in which we recorded in our notebook and also by using an audio recorder. The researchers interviewed 2 students and obtained 2 folktales from them. They are Paya Jalil and Bahloy and Tabarok. Next, from the descriptions of the characters and the scenes, the researchers sketched out a storyboard to arrange the stories into coherent scenes with suitable narration and dialogues in English. Then, the characters and the scenes were drawn on an application called IBIS Paint X. From IBIS Paint X, the images are cut into different pieces. The researchers then went on to the editing applications, which are KineMaster and CapCut. Here, the researchers put all the cut images and started the twinning process, which combined the different images into one. The researchers then started doing the animation to make movements. Dialogues and voices in English are also added into it here. Finally, the researchers exported the video into an MP4 file. Throughout this project, the researchers find that the 2 Semai folktales, Paya Jalil and Bahloy and Tabarok, contain many positive educational, moral, and artistic values. These values make the folktales suitable to be used as learning materials for students. Additionally, using English as the medium for the stories make the language more accessible to the students, in contrast to the foreign-made English textbooks that contains foreign contexts and cultures. These animated Semai folktales in English make the students feel more at home with the language.
The researchers also find that the Semai folktales are highly adaptable for such innovation as an animation. The intriguing storylines and characters make for a good material for animation. This goes to show that Semai folktales are just as entertaining and adaptable as other folktales from other cultures.
Consequently, this paper also reveals that animating the old as-time Semai folktales breathes new life into them and keeps them relevant to 21st century learners. The animations present the folktales in a more interesting, engaging, and visual manner than the oral versions. Ultimately, the animations save these tales from extinction and ensure their survival among the younger generation.
From this project, It is clear that Semai Folktales contain many positive educational values for students. As such, the use of this tale in teaching the English language in order to boost students' interest and eventually proficiency in the language is highly needed and recommended. This project calls for more similar initiative to be done. A major limitation in this study is the fading memory of the student storytellers of their own folktales. Before the researchers managed to get the 2 students for the interview, they tried asking many other students. Most of them refused due to the reason that they did not remember much of the stories. Additionally, the researchers tried to make the older generation of the Semai community in their village, but due to COVID-19 restriction, they had to cancel the plan to settle with their Semai schoolmates as their source. It is believed that this research will spur more creations of the Semai folktales into animation and any other forms of creative storytelling. This will then result in 2 major positive impacts. Firstly, there will be more learning materials in English that incorporates the Semai culture. Secondly, a wider population that learn of and appreciate the unique Semai heritage.